Alright, T. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Lesson Classics. This is episode number 1798 and Doubleshot number 1682. Two more to go until that magical 1800. Okay, we have a Star Wars trade and a finale for a Spider-Man story. Alright, first up it is Star Wars, The High Republic, Volume 2. The Heart of Dragonair. This collects issues 6 to 10 of the ongoing series for the High Republic published by Marvel. Yes, I do know about the one published by IDW. I'm not reading it because that's for kids. This is the one I want to read. Yeah, the main characters of this one are simply... We have characters from the novels like Wayseeker, Oil and Jenny, and this, of course, was Into the Dark, which is actually one of the... was actually from the second of these novels. Now here's the thing. Here are the three novels for Jedi Republic. I have not read the Jedi Republic novels because it has been a while since I've actually read one. I have not read a regular novel that's not been one of the light novels in a couple years because I've been so busy reading other stuff. So I've not had a chance to do it. It's a good amount of it's good about, let's say, good amount of adventure stuff for the High Republic, aka the Old Republic stuff. You could say this is the Old Republic era. That's simply what this is. They probably call it the High Republic. It's probably so they don't get confused with naming of the Knights of the Republic stuff. So set in that very era, just new stories in it. Well, probably by far the most interesting happens in this book is having a Jedi writing a freaking Rancor. Yeah, the writer, of course, Calvin Scott, does a really good job writing this book. And plus, I love the interior artwork. Now, the cover art, all the issues in here are done by Phil Noto. Great artist, by the way. The interior artwork is done by two artists. Throughout most of this book, for issues 6, 7, and 10, is done by Georges Jenny, and artwork for issues 8 and 9 by Arino and Mito. Yeah. More stuff for this era. Just recommend people fans of Star Wars. Alright. Next book here is something that I think a lot of people will like to hear my thoughts on these issues for this Spider-Man stuff, especially since the last issue of the release of this issue was only released just a month and a half ago. Yeah, seriously, it was released that quickly. Yes, we have the finale for Amazing Spider-Man Beyond. This is the fourth volume for this one. This collects issues of Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5, issues 89 to 93 plus 92.BEY. Yes. Now, Patrick Lee does the writing for issues 89 and 90. A artist who does the writing. Not the first series, not for it. This is actually the second series I can think of we did it for. We actually did the writing for. First time we did sole writing for, not do the artwork too. The artwork for those issues 89 and 90 is done by Mark Bagley. Great artist. We have 91 done by Kelly Thompson. Yes, Kelly Thompson as also the current writer for Captain Marvel. Artwork for that issue is done by Sarah Pacelli and Frank Gilling. 92. Kelly Thompson with Jen McKay co-writing of the script. The artwork is done by three artists. It is Frank Gilling, Sarah Pacelli, Z. Carlos. 92 is basically co-written by three people. Yes, 92 BEY is written by three people. Jen McKay, Cody Ziegler, and Zeb Wells. The artwork is done by 5 artists did this issue. 5. Luki Zaria, Bruno Orlia, Frank Gouland, Mark Bagley, and Wayne Fucher. The finale is written by Zeb Wells. The artwork is done by Patrick Lee. That's the main story. It does a couple backup stories. Days is done by Sarah Pacelli, the artwork for that one. Weeks is basically done artwork by Mark Bagley and Tom Townsend. The cover art for these issues for 89 and 90, pretty much you have Arthur Adams pretty much doing the cover art for basically issues 89 to 92. Well, actually, he does pretty much all the covers here. He basically 89 to 93, it's all him to cover artwork. But he co-does it for 89 with Jim Campbell. For 91 is Alejandro Sanchez, who is also issue 92. for issue 92 point BEY is Mark Bagley and Brian Renner. The final one, Alejandro Sanchez. Yeah, we wrap up Beyond stuff in here. We have sort of the collapse of the New York branch of the Beyond Corporation. Yes, I say collapse of New York branch because apparently, despite the fact we get rid of this building, apparently is more Beyond Corporation stuff. Okay, we wrap up the stuff with the Goblin Queen, kind of, though she's still out there. She wasn't captured. And we also have it where basically Ben Reilly's becoming a bit unstable. And also Peter Parker gets back his costume. Well, he first is basically back his web shooters. Webbed up by the Black Cat, who, by the way, does jack frickin' squat in these issues. No, seriously, she does practically nothing. She just shows up, gives Peter his web shooters, and it leaves. And doesn't do pretty much anything the rest of the story. Not that I can think of, no. And then he's freed by Jeannie, Ben's girlfriend, who Peter can easily mistake for Mary Jane Watson because she's based on her. So he gets back his costume, and it's damaged. I would have thought, though, they would give her a fresh costume. Nope. They gave her a damaged costume for some reason with little holes in the mask. Don't know why. So the plan is to rescue Ben from the Beyond Corporation because they've corrupted him. Yes, seriously. There's all stuff in here with the Daughters of Dragon and the Stingers, which, by the way, in the case of Stingers, the most recent appearance you have of these guys. Yes. And we also find out this mysterious door Z that's been a recurring thing throughout this whole storyline. And who's behind that door? The Lizard. In giant-sized form for some reason. Yeah, apparently he's like 9 feet tall now, and he's gray. He's normally green. I thought this was kind of weird. Yeah, I thought that was interesting because we haven't seen him in a while. But I couldn't remember that in the expense that they separated the Lizard and Kirk Connors into two separate people. Did the writers of this story completely forget that plot thread? Apparently. Like, I don't know if this is the Lizard that Dr. Octopus creates, or was it Kirk Connors turning back into the Lizard now? It's completely unexplained. Also, we have the return abruptly of Michael Morbius in here, and also his most recent appearance today is 92 EBEY. Yep, we have Marcus apparently be ordered to be killed by, of all people, Maxine Danger. Yeah, of course, she leaves, and the building for the Beyond Corporation is actually destroyed in the final issue. Is it blown up? Like, kaboom, kaboom. No, it's demolished like any other building. It's like apparently got some explosion and just whooshes right down. No massive explosions for the Beyond Corporation headquarters. Nope, not really. I'll get my final thoughts in a bit, basic on this. And then we also have, basically, Peter trying to save Ben, act like a reasonable person. They have Ben, for some reason, act like the way Peter did during the original Clone Saga when he found out about the switcheroo about Ben being the clone, being the real Peter Parker, and of course, he's ruining his life. I'm like, did the writer of this book basically, by the way, that happened issue 90, that's Zeb Wells doing this, by the way. I don't know why I blame him for that. Apparently, he has Ben actively irrational, as Peter put on this device on his head. So Peter smashes the device, gets into a fight with Ben Reilly, and then, of course, they try to help him. Of course, Ben leaves, and then he puts on this mask, which is associated with this weird hole stuff that Beyond Corporation is known for being part of, and it becomes this thing. Chasm, which simply put is like an evil Spider-Man. Yes, for some reason, somebody thought this was a good idea to turn Ben Reilly, a beloved character, into this. We also apparently see, like, this mysterious person. Like, who are you looking at? The road of blood will lead you to... Come with me. Who are you? And nothing. Yeah, we have apparently have sort of a happy ending here. Peter with MJ. We have this separation going on. Like, what the heck is this? By the way, is this explaining the relaunch that happened just a month later? Nope. We don't know who the heck this person is. because they released one issue for it so far, and yes, I do know about it. Yes. Now, I do appreciate the stories I want to do. It's good. The finale is weird, to say the least. I don't think it's a piece of crap, as some people might think it might be. But man, this is just an okay story. There's some good high points in here. And the whole thing of basically Peter pointing out, though, that people stop telling him from doing his job. And he is not really a big fan of the fact that the Beyond Corporation owned the likeness and the identity of Spider-Man, despite the fact he's the original, so he's Spider-Man. Not Ben Reilly, Peter is. And, like, Ben leaves Beyond Corporation and just basically becomes a villain. Because Marvel doesn't have anything to do with the character. By the way, in case you're curious, though, does Ben get back his lost memories and take him back Beyond Corporation? Nope. He doesn't. The Goblin Queen storyline is like abruptly cut off, not resolved here. By the way, I get this book roughly I'm going to be nice. Like, the artwork is gorgeous. I love the artwork for this thing. It is really good. I give the artwork a 10 out of 10 because it's that damn good. But I'm going to get the book, I'm going to give it a basically a 9, 8.5 out of 10. Final thoughts on the Beyond storyline. And, of course, Volume 5 altogether, because technically this is the end of Volume 5. Because 1 month later, Volume 6, number 1, with Jarmia Jr. returning as the artist, first time since 2004. Yes, the last time he was on this book was prior to Sin's Past. Yes, seriously. Yeah, isn't that a weird thing when it comes to Jarmia Jr.? Yes, it is weird. They bring him back because it's a return of Jarmia Jr. as the artist for Amazing Spider-Man. And, okay, you wanted the question of when was the last time officially that Jarmia Jr. ever drew an issue of Amazing Spider-Man? Well, prior to this very issue. Well, the last time he drew an issue for this book, the last book he did was issue 600. No, seriously, that was the last issue he ever did. So, this actually is the first issue he's done artwork for since issue 600, which was released back in 2009. That was the year of 4 big triple-digit issues. You had Amazing Spider-Man in 600, you had Captain America in 700, Thor, Captain America hit 600 that year. Thor hit 600 as well. And I believe also Incredible Hulk hit 600 as well. 4 big series at 600 that very year. Everybody thinking, wow, it took 13 years for Jarmia Jr. to come back to the book as the artist. But that was when he was a guest artist in the book. Yes. The last time he officially did regular artwork for was back in issue 508, which also came out the very same year as well. Yeah. Isn't that quite weird? Yeah, with the character assassination storyline. Was the last official story he worked on. Awesome 2009. And, like, do I have an issue bringing back Jarmia Jr. to do the artwork? Not really. I don't mind it at all. It's somebody who's familiar. But the thing is, you go from several really good artists, Ryan Ottley, Mark Bagley, Patrick Gleason. You go from these 3 really good artists to Jarmia Jr. Seems kind of weird. I would have thought, though, also throwing Sampicelli as well. You could pick any of these artists to basically continue doing the book and for the relaunch. You kept Zeb Wells, good writer. This is probably by far his biggest book he's done in his entire career that I can think of. But why Jarmia Jr. for? I don't understand. My thing with this volume is, it is, like, by far, if you think about it, like, here's the thing. Here's a little fun fact for you about Marvel Comics and this numbering. When was the last time officially that any Marvel comic ever reached this high for a comic book that was a in regular universe book. Don't say Ultimate X-Men. You could say Ultimate X-Men. Yes, that would be true. That was the last fish book that did this. Or it could have been Ultimate Spider-Man. But I'm talking about regular 616 comic book. For our comics. The last fish of this happened was Iron Man Volume 3. When I hit issue 89 in 2004. Yes. 18 years it has been since any comic book published by Marvel Comics that had issue 1 and went this high. 18 years. 18 years that a comic book published by Marvel Comics had ever reached this high. And we first basically start this volume off with basically Nick Spencer on the book, which I loved what he did for the book. It was amazing. Yes, some people may point out that it was somewhat obvious that he was pointing the way to seeing Peter hook back up with MJ possibly into one more day. But I love this. I love that run purely because for the build, the fact that we actually feature Spider-Man fighting his own villains, the book actually felt like it was part of the Marvel Universe as a whole. And we actually build up stories in the book. When was that? Did that happen during Lancelot's run? Kind of, but not the extent that Nick Spencer. He basically proved that he can do good comic books that are not politically driven, like with the Captain America stuff. And in my opinion, he did an absolute great job with the book. And I even love the fact we actually had Norman Osborn come back in the book. First time as the Green Goblin in Amazing Spider-Man in over a decade. And having Norman Osborn be a great character. Also, here's something you would not expect about this book. You know how Dan Slott loved doing Dr. Octopus? Here's a little strange fun fact for you. Guess how many times Dr. Octopus popped up in Nick Spencer's run? He didn't pop up in the book until... I'm trying to think, when was it? I think he popped up during... It was actually just prior to the Sinister War. Yeah, that was the first time he ever popped up in the book. And he'd been absent for almost the entirety of the book. And you wait to the very end to feature him. Now, Nick Spencer was nothing but pure fun. Great artwork and great storytelling on the part of Nick Spencer as artist. Then you come to Beyond stuff. Where... It's not a terrible start for this book. I like the hilarious moment that happened during the run where you have Dr. Octopus going to Beyond Corporation headquarters and see all this weird stuff. Like you have the department making sandwiches. He's like, what? Yeah, it was a pure comedy scene. Yes, I thought that was kind of funny. Yes. And interesting, though, that you have Ben Reilly recruiting the Daughters of the Dragon and the Stingers to work for the Beyond Corporation. Interesting at best. I mean, it's great you brought back these characters. In the case of the Prowler, this was the first time in about a year he had been seen. Though he actually had been seen prior to that in King in Black. But prior to King in Black, last time he was seen was back at the end of a solo book release. It was actually ended back in 2016. Yeah, that was the last time he was ever seen in a comic book. So you could kind of thank both, basically, the writer of, well, one of the tie-ins to bring back the Prowler, who is now officially the Hornet now. Yes. I think the Stingers was a pretty interesting idea. I kind of wish to do something more with the Stingers. They're a great group. Michael Morbius, that was interesting. It felt as though for this run that the writers of this run didn't give him much to do. Like, he first shows up, attacks Ben, and he was held hostage, and apparently he just written off, and then he just pop back into the end of this run. Like, okay. It felt like some of the classics are villains, like the Kraven Hunter clone he showed up in the book, which, by the way, that one who was the last son of Kravenoff, who was a clone of Kraven's, he was a creation of Nick Spencer. Interesting they brought him in. I thought that was kind of interesting. It was great they brought him in. But he's another character I kind of felt as though they did nothing with. It just felt as though the writers of this book basically just told some stuff. There's some really good high points here. I almost felt as though a lot of the classic Spider-Villains got virtually almost nothing to do when they pop up in this book. Really cool moments, but no story. That was the problem with a lot of the stuff happening in this run. It felt as though they had good moments, but not enough story. That's the problem with it. Plus, his run was not very long. It was only, if you think about it, was only about 19 issues. Yeah, it's not that lengthy of a run. And like Nick Spencer run, it was released twice a month, which I appreciate the Marvel keeping that up. And I get the reason why they didn't hit the restart button when this book basically switched writers. And for me personally, that was a good idea. Especially since this book sold really well, probably sold really well on Nick Spencer. They probably figured, oh, we gotta change the writer of the book, and Nick Spencer left at the beginning of the book for 3 years. Like, okay. So must thought, okay, we have Nick Spencer book. Let's reset the book, and someone must have said, no, let's not do that. Let's continue the numbering. Yep, let's continue the numbering. Which, that was definitely a good idea. I appreciate that. I get also the reason why they're going to restart it, because, well, and this is my opinion anyways, I think this era of Mystic Spider was not doing well financially for this book. This is probably, I think some people were not big fans of this run, so Marvel decided, though, either they rushed. Now, did I feel as though the conclusion felt a bit rushed? Yes, it did. Did I feel as though they did stupid stuff at the very end of the book? Yes. I hope Deb Wells explains what the heck happened at the end of this issue. Who the heck did Peter see? Who was he talking to? Was he talking to Mephisto? Who the heck was he talking to? Good question. I hope he solves that question when we read this current run, which I know the first issue, from what I can tell, is receiving a lot of flack online. Especially since apparently Mary Jane is married and has kids who are clearly 5, and her husband is apparently based upon an activist. Because someone scanned and figured out who the heck this guy is, because they don't ID this guy in the book at all. Yeah. But I'll eventually talk more about the current run from Mystic Spider-Man later date. But I like some of the stuff in here. But in my opinion, Beyond probably remembered for good moments, not for good story. I feel this is the stuff that's not related to Ben, basically, was okay. I felt that was a better high point for the book. And here's the weird thing about this run. That Peter Parker, who is still technically Spider-Man, we had Devil's Reign happening late last year, and Ben Reilly appeared in that run, which I thought that was interesting. He didn't do very much in the book. Yeah, I felt as though he did jack frickin' squat in Events Devil's Reign. Because here you are. You have Spider-Man featured in a Daredevil-centric story. I mean, this is the first one Daredevil's had since 2010 Shadowland. And he does nothing. At least Peter did something in the original story. This book, nope. I can't think of anything he did in the book. Of course, he had a one-shot. But that's it. Yeah. But I'm not going to talk anymore about the Beyond stuff. I mean, like, if you think of personally what I think of the best things about this run, it's basically featuring some good characters. The Dr. Octopus, in my opinion, is probably the best thing about this run. Because he appears for like a couple issues. But it clearly is written by people who are clearly respect the character. And they at least put him in an outfit basically is recognizable. Oh yeah, this is Dr. Octopus, but clearly put him in the outfit Apollonia wore in Spider-Man 2. They probably did it because of Spider-Man No Way Home. And that's probably the reason why they put him in the book, because it's featured in the movie. And if you think about it, okay, overall, how many villains popped up in this book that are classic Spider-Man villains? The answer is like 2 or 3. Because you had the Lizard. You had, of course, Kraven the Hunter. Dr. Octopus. Okay. Yeah, that was simply it. The whole thing with the UFOs, it's like that was there at the beginning and then was dropped. Yes, I kind of felt as though reading this, like, about the whole thing, I kind of felt as though stuff was started and then it was dropped for, like, no reason at all. Yep. But enough about that. So that's going to be pretty much it for the cycle review. Am I going to do any more videos tonight? I might do one more, but that's a maybe not part. I feel as though I had to do this one because I had the final trade for Amazing Spider-Man Beyond. I got it yesterday. I was surprised to see it come out. Yeah. Especially since it's not even been 2 months since this issue came out. Yes. But another thing I appreciate with the book is having good moments. You pick good writers. Zeb Wells, Jed McKay, Kelly Thompson. Some didn't do very much in the story. And I do appreciate, though, that Ben had a good point when it comes to the Miles Morales stuff. I thought that was good. But I kind of feel as though that was dropped way too quickly. It's like it's brought up in the book for a couple issues, and then it's like immediately dropped. And it's briefly in the Miles Morales book, but that's dropped quickly because I think some people probably felt as though, yes, suing Miles Morales over the name Spider-Man was utterly ridiculous. So they just dropped that storyline because they probably felt as though it was a really dumb idea in the first place. Which I agree. If you think of anything they probably should have kept that wasn't dropped, was the stuff with Peter. I kind of felt as though they dropped the ball with him in the story. Yeah. Though I've heard various reasons why they did this story. One, I've heard that one of the co-creators of Amazing Spider-Man, of Spider-Man, Steve Ditko, his family, are suing Marvel, so they did the story as a response to that lawsuit. Yes. Before I end this video, I have a message for people who are representing the Steve Ditko family as relates to this, and of course stuff related to Doctor Strange. Your lawsuit is basically ruining it for the fans, because you want this character back because Steve Ditko have created this character. Okay, yes, but do you know who suffers the most because of this stupid lawsuit? Is it Marvel? No, it's the fans. I have been a fan of Amazing Spider-Man for about 20 years. For over 20 years, I'm a fan of Spider-Man. I have been reading this comic book since 2004. I have been reviewing it since 2013. I have loved a lot of the stuff related to this book. So please, Steve Ditko family, drop the lawsuit against Marvel for Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. Because of that stupid crossover, Doctor Strange got killed off because of your stupid lawsuit. And of course, Peter had to go into freaking coma for a few issues. Yes, drop the lawsuit. It's stupid. Yes. That's just my opinion anyways. But, yeah, I've been reading comics like this book here. This is actually one of the first 2 comics I was reading from Marvel when I started reading comics back in 2004. This along with Kenny X-Men, because I love these characters. And I have read every issue of this series released. I reviewed a lot of the stuff released this comic book as far back as 1999. Yes, I reviewed that far back. In trade form of some individual issues. But I just kind of wish. Now, Spider-Man fans can agree, disagree about certain stuff. But mostly we can agree that this lawsuit that the Ditko family... Now, you can't blame Steve Ditko for this stupid lawsuit because he's no longer alive. He passed away 3 years ago. Actually, more like 4 years ago. He passed away at the same time as Stan Lee. Yeah. And you might be curious, though. As many Comic-Cons I went to, did I ever run into Steve Ditko in Comic-Cons? The answer is no. I have never met him because the guy had never made public appearances. Okay? So, I'm just going to hear, and I'm not going to do any more negative stuff right now. I'm just going to basically just close out for tonight. Just maybe for tomorrow, I may do a comic corner or 2. Okay? Next video. Bye.